our beautiful pictures. Oh, see technology in me, and everybody can hear me. Thank you, Nelson. Here we go. That's what we want. I'm so sorry. We had a little technical problem there. Good morning, everybody. My name is Dave Finale, real estate skill builder and Real Estate Talk TGIF. Actually, it is not morning. It is in the afternoon. It is morning out where Michael is, and it's morning on the West Coast. But we're doing this a little bit differently time this week, simply because Michael had some stuff to do. And anyway, so here we are. This is Real Estate Talk TGIF. This is episode 329, 325 weeks in a row. We've done some extra broadcasts. And I'm really happy to have my new friend, Mike LaFido, from the Chicago area in Illinois. Is that right, Mike?
That is correct. Yeah, you and I just met at a great real estate conference out John Cheplack's event.
Yeah, and my opinion of that is it is the number one best event of the year. I had a little information overload the last day. I'm so glad I started with you on the last day. Anyway, you know what? We've got a lot of stuff to cover in a short amount of time. Nelson, hit the videotape.
Real estate agents, are you looking to acquire clients consistently to grow your business and income for a great lifestyle? Well, this is Dave Finale, and I'm here to bring you the Real Estate Skill Builder broadcast, Real Estate Talk TGIF, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder and the Modern Agent team.
Again, hello everybody. This is Dave Finale, Real Estate Talk TGIF episode 329. We do these broadcasts to give back to the real estate community. It is brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder, my coaching company, as well as my team Align here in New Jersey and North Carolina, Florida, and Baltimore, Maryland. Today we have Michael LaFido. Let me tell you a little bit about Michael. Mike is the founder of Marketing Luxury Group, assisting other real estate agents, brokers, and affluent homeowners by providing top-tier services, including coaching, consulting, lifestyle marketing, public relations, to help agents and owners sell their luxury homes, utilizing proven and innovative strategies. He's known for his innovative marketing strategies and has been featured in many major publications. Michael has created the nationally recognized luxury designation for real estate agents, known as Luxury Listing Specialist. This designation establishes an in-depth and detailed set of standards for agents that represent high-end buyers and agents that sell luxury homes. Mike's won many, many awards for his work and is considered a leader, and I believe him a leader in the field of luxury real estate. And Michael, thanks so much for being on the broadcast today.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome. So, Michael, luxury is a thing that people want to get into, and most people want to get into luxury because they watch a lot of shit on TV. But before we get started and talk about that, I got to ask you the most important question of the day. And I ask everybody this for 329 episodes, and I'm going to ask you this. What does TGIF stand for?
Well, for me, as a kid growing up, thank goodness it's Friday.
Right. And that's what most people think. But
thank God it's Friday.
For my purpose, it's actually, I'm sorry, you didn't get the right answer. The right answer is thank God it's finale. And here we are at my broadcast. So it's thank God it's finale, or, thank goodness. Or I think there was something else I thought of this week that sounded really good. But anyway, thank God it's finale. Here we are. Michael, talk to me about where you came from, what you did, what your journey has been. It's really cool. I love your background. So let's share that with everybody. Tell everybody where you came from, how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, Michael LaFido out of the Chicago market, Wheaton, Illinois, home of Red Grange and the Belushi brothers. I've run two businesses, my home selling team, so a licensed real estate agent, and my global consulting business. And I did not get started in real estate. I was a high school health and PE teacher, and I had a deck cleaning company. I power wash and stain decks the first few years, summers, as a teacher to make some money. And had a gentleman, we were cleaning his deck. He says, hey man, you should think about getting in real estate. He goes, I own a real estate company. You're great with people. My top agent is a teacher over at North Central College right across the street. And you should consider it. 3 or 4 months later, I got my license in 2000, and then here we are today. But it's been a natural progression of selling entry level and average price properties, and then some high end, and then luxury, right? And so most agents, they wait, or they have limiting beliefs. They think they got to wait 10, 20 years like I waited 10 years, and that's not the case.
Right, cool. So in luxury, you've written some books. You're an author, and you slowly got into real estate. So how did you start in real estate, and what was the transition that you decided to do luxury and go from there? As you just said, it's not the case of having to wait.
Yeah, so I've had mentors, invest in coaching and mentors. Like, uh, again, I'm a big believer in that, right? And so I've a former athlete in me. It's like, hey, you can do it yourself, or you're only as good as your team or those that push you around you. So
Right.
luckily, I had a coach that, really challenged me to increase my average sale price. And so over some time, that's what we did. Unfortunately, I think I waited too long, but that's another story. And so invested in myself and went after the upper price points. And we service all buyers and sellers today, but we do specialize in the luxury space.
Now, is there a certain path that agents need to take to get into luxury, to start doing luxury? Like, let's face it. I mean, most agents when they start pre NAR stuff, it was like, okay, I'm going to answer the phone, I'm going to get a lead, I'm going to go show houses, and I'm going to show whatever house there is. Right? I mean, we can start with mobile homes, we can start with first-time home buyers, depending on the average price in certain areas. I mean, here we are. I mean, in your area might be different than mine, but our average price point is around 650, maybe a little higher than that. However, Bergen County, New Jersey, you can go from $100,000 for a house or 25,000 for a mobile home, all the way up to 20, 25, 40, 50 million dollars for a home in this county from south to north, oddly enough. I mean, is there a starting point? Is there a way that, a method like going to events or whatever? How would you suggest someone get started? I'm going to hit that one right off the bat.
Yeah, it's a great question. Every market's a little bit different, of course, but the one thing I would recommend is knowledge. Knowledge is key because everybody's looking for this right here.
That was easy.
Right. Everybody's
Right.
looking for the easy button, right? And it's not easy, but it's also not as difficult as well. But you have to have the right systems and process. But it starts with this. If an agent doesn't believe they can get the deal done, if an agent doesn't believe they can sell luxury, guess what? They're not going to sell it, right? So it starts with mindset and belief. And so what are you reading? What are you listening to? Who do you surround yourself with? That's how you grow your knowledge. And I'm a big believer, when you grow your knowledge, your confidence will grow. So that's key. You got to be knowledgeable and confident, because otherwise you can go on the appointment and it doesn't matter, right? So that is
Right.
going to be key there. So number one is knowledge. I would call that the foundational principle. Just like a house, you got to have a strong foundation. A building, well, guess what? You need a strong foundation. You need a strong foundation to be successful in real estate, in any industry, but in real estate, right? So strong foundation, that's key. That's number one. That's that. And we could probably spend a lot of time on how does somebody strengthen their foundation.
Right. Right. So how to strengthen their foundation basically is we're talking about knowing what they're doing, knowing what they're doing with listing presentations, et cetera. But this is a step up, right, man? Isn't there, this is a step up from, or is it from a typical listing presentation or a good listing presentation? Now, you and I just had the greatest experience of learning that you can have, I think, in this real estate business at the Cheplack Tahoe Mastermind. And we learned a lot. We saw a lot about processes and systems that a lot of teams use. And for that instance, I mean, I would believe that the high level stuff we saw could be used at any level. Are we talking about using different things at the level of luxury, or is it just the amount of time, the amount of concern you put in, or is it the same?
Well, every market's different, right? So I'm going to speak from a holistic approach, but
Sure.
but based in the Chicago market, I can tell you that home sales in those upper price points can be much more challenging, right? So there's a term out there called super prime properties, and most people aren't familiar with it. But super prime properties are properties that are $10 million and above. Okay, so globally, it's a global term called super prime properties, and Dubai leads the world in $10 million plus sales, and London and New York are second and third respectively, right? But last year, 3 in the Chicagoland market sold above 10 million, the year before 6. So that's really rare air, that $10 million plus. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time there. I'm going to back it down and cover what I would call the 5 price points, because ultimately most markets have 4 of these 5, and the bigger markets have 5. Now, Dave, you saw me present on this week out in Lake Tahoe, and I went over that. So I want to go over that with
that would be great.
There's 5 primary price points in the large markets and 4 in small. So it starts with, I call them buckets. Bucket number 1 is what I call starter price point or entry level. Okay. Bucket 2 is what I call average price point for that market. Now, you mentioned 650 is your average. So real estate agents can figure out their average sale price for their market. Now, you might just be in a small town, or you might service multiple markets. Well, every market has a different average price point. So real estate agents can get this data from the real estate board, the MLS, or a title company. So bucket 2 is the average price point. Bucket 3, Dave, is what we call luxury. And I define a luxury home as 3 times the average sale price for that given market. So your luxury is 650 times 3 is around 1.9-ish, 1 to 2 million. Call it 2 million. Where my market, the average sale price is 450. You're about 1.25, right? Or 1.3. So luxury is not the same in every market. It's different. Now, condo definition is different than single family, but you get the idea.
Sure.
So again, bucket 1 is entry or starter. Bucket 2 is average. Bucket 3 is high end. High end is 3 times. Bucket 3 is high end. High end is 2 times the average sale price. So 650 times 2, around 1.3, is a high end home in your market. For me, 450 times 2, around 900, right? So bucket 3 is high end. I already talked about luxury is bucket 4. Luxury is what we call 3x, or 3 times the average sale price. And then in big markets is what I call the 10x factor. And that's what we call ultra luxury, is bucket 5. And that's 10 times that average price point. So Dave, 650 times 10 is 6.5 million. Do you have any 6.5s in your market currently?
Sure. Yeah.
So you do have ultra luxury. Now, I talked to some people in Lake Tahoe this week, and they were talking about their market, and they didn't have any. So some markets don't have that 5th bucket.
Right. So we are right outside of Manhattan. We have the northern part of Bergen County has Alpine and some other towns that are popular to the area, and there are movie stars and professional athletes that live in that area that can afford those numbers, and the privacy and the large homes. I really love that you talked about high end rather than luxury, because that's what I was going to ask you today.
Yeah.
And to talk about what's the difference between, there's luxury. People want a higher price point. So when we're talking about higher price points, the important thing that everyone needs to understand is, just because it might be, like in my market, right? Just because it might be $1 million to $2 million, it doesn't mean it's luxury. It just means it's high end, and it could be for that town, right? Now, as I mentioned in the town Alpine, 2 million is probably a low end home in that town, oddly enough, right? So it's really important to look at that. So when talk to me about the style that when you made the change over to luxury, what did you have to change? Was there anything that you had to change that to persist and to be consistent in that market, in the luxury market?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of things I had to change, right? And so, even working out at the gym this morning, somebody said, "Oh, how was the conference?" I knew I spoke at Chet Black's Tahoe event, and said it was great. And he goes, "Again, you help agents and teams sell more luxury real estate. Is that correct?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, so what do you teach them, to dress differently?" I mean, that is like basic elementary stuff, right? So it's much more than that. So it starts with the mindset, systems, and processes, right? So mindset, and then you have to develop systems. You have to be familiar with the local market, the upper price points, the products, what's selling, what's on the market, the materials, what's trending. There is no easy button. It's a compilation of things, right? And And so that's really key is what you focus on expands. So if you really immerse yourself into it, you want to know what keeps high net worth individuals awake at night, how they think, where they eat, what they dine, what keeps them awake at night, what are their passions, hobbies, and interests. And that's really important. And because then you understand what the avatar is. Now, again, when I say avatar, I'm not talking fair housing and what they look like, but I'm just how they're wired.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things that's really important, you said market, and everybody says, well, I know that market, and well, maybe you don't, right? So there's some other things, and you mentioned other properties that exist in markets that they have a value according to the market of X, right? But because of what's in them and how they were put together, you know what I'm alluding to, but how they're put together, they might have a different price, a higher price, or a lower price. Now, the difference there, correct me if I'm wrong, the difference there that in the luxury market, that really means an awful lot. But in the average market or high-end market, just because you're the best house in town doesn't mean you get that price. However, in the luxury market, you just might. Can you explain that? Was I vague enough for you?
So like you were kind of vague there. So I just want to make sure from a clarity standpoint, one more time.
So we're talking about homes might have some things in them. They might have an age bracket to them. They might be better in a luxury home, which might increase its value, where a home that's average, just because you made it, you did all these great things. You put a sauna in. A $500,000 house is still going to be a $500,000 house, where a $3 million house might be a $4 million house, and an $8 million house might be a $10 million house. Just because what the comps say doesn't mean that it's got value. Of course, the market's going to determine. I think you know what I'm talking about.
The market. So pricing high-end and unique homes can be challenging. That's a science in itself, right? So
That's
you have, chapter 2 in our book, which, by the way, we want to give your audience a copy of our book absolutely free. It would be, they can get the digital one for free. They go to freeluxurybook.com. If you want to put that on the screen, you got that little, that's perfect. It's down below. You guys can see that, but freeluxurybook.com. But chapter 2, Dave, is what I would consider, like, this guy is an icon. Okay. And it's Jack Cotton. Jack Cotton is out of Cape Cod, Sotheby's, been a licensed agent for over 50 years. Jack is so left brain analytical on the spreadsheets on pricing. Now, Jack's style is a little bit different than mine. So and I'm not saying one's right or another, but do what you're comfortable with, and whatever your market you're accurate with. So pricing a high-end and luxury home can be very difficult, can be very challenging, because it's so custom. There are not a lot of comparables out there, right? There's not a lot of comps, right?
Exactly.
So I look at it as a blended approach. So one way, the traditional way, is, hey, look for comps that have sold within a mile. That's one way. I don't do that. The other is to look at similar homes, similar price points, no matter where they're at. That's one way that we look at it. And the third way is do that along with what the land is worth. A blended approach is we figure out what the dirt is worth. Because with luxury, I'm in Chicago, right? So the North Shore, Winnetka on Lake Michigan, that dirt, that quarter acre is going to be worth than an acre out in Hinsdale, Illinois. So because it's on Lake Michigan, right? Location, location, location. So when I price a property, I look at it from a multiple angles, right? One is, what's the dirt worth? The second is, what's this structure worth, the house, the brick and mortar, how old it is, because there is depreciation. A 10,000 square foot sale of a home that was built in 2020 is going to be valued per square foot higher perhaps than something built in 2000 because of depreciation assets. So you got to look at the land, you got to look at the actual property. Then the third part is, this is where experience comes in the local market, is having a finger on the local market's pulse. In other words, is there a gap in that market? Is there a gap? What's selling? What's sitting? Maybe you think the property's worth, maybe you think that the property is worth X, but there's a big gap between X and Y, so you test it a little bit higher. and I like to use stock analogies all the time, right?
Okay.
And so if somebody buys Dell, and I don't even know what Dell is trading for, so I'm gonna look it up real quick. Dell Nasdaq, okay. So Dell right now is trading at 117. So I'm going to use a Dell example. If somebody bought Dell at $180 a share and is trading for 117 right now, and somebody goes to the market and says, hey, I'm trying to get 170 for this per share, the market's saying it's only worth 117. They don't care if you have 170 or 180 into the shares. Is that correct?
Yep.
So the worst mistake somebody could do when selling a home is, well, I have this into it because this is what I'd like to get out of it, or I'd like to get this out of it. The market ultimately dictates price, right?
Yes.
And so I believe in a data-driven approach. However, you got to use your experience because sometimes there's gaps in markets. So that was a long-winded answer, Dave, but there's no easy answer when pricing luxury homes.
No, and that's why I put it the way I did, because I mean, we've seen people overdo things in their houses, but when it comes to luxury, it's a lot different, and you really need that expertise. So, we talked about getting into luxury and people wanting to make that shift from, an average price point on up to luxury. What is the process or the system that one would use to actually prospect for leads for luxury homes, for listings and or buyers or sellers? What's the prospecting? What does that look like?
Yeah, so let me back up. So first off, I believe that there's two forms of lead gen or marketing or getting new clients. Okay, one is a longer play, perhaps, but it's nurturing, and those are your have-nots. Those are people that know you, like you, and trust you, past clients, spheres of influence.
Yep.
Those are warm opportunities, because conversations, I hate to say I'm in sales, but I'm an advisor, I'm a consultant, but ultimately I get paid for sales, right, as a real estate agent. So
Right.
ultimately we're all in sales, whether it be sales that you're trying to, sell your significant other on why they should marry you, or you're trying to sell. We're in sales, right? But sales is a slimy word. So I do believe in consulting and advising, because if it's not the right opportunity for a client, a salesman tries to sell it to him, and an advisor says, this isn't right based on what you're telling me. So we're in sales, but I like to look at us as advisors. But ultimately, you have warm opportunities as an advisor, and you have cold opportunities as an advisor. And within cold, another word for cold could be lead gen or prospecting, right? So that is ultimately what your question is. Again, there's warm. So touching your database, communicating, bringing value, letting them know updates on the market, what's trending, what's working, what's not, what's listed, what's sold. Being the subject matter expert. The opposite of those warm and bringing value is cold. These are your have-not mets. These are people that don't know you yet, like you yet, or trust you yet. So that would be lead gen prospecting. And so it really depends on what somebody's comfort level is. But the fastest way when you don't have any luxury sales is probably the cold opportunities.
So tell me, what would be those cold opportunities? I mean, we're probably not going to see a lot of luxury as for sale by owners. So, but there might be some expireds. Can we go into that?
Yeah. Yep. So cold opportunities, there's several, and those opportunities, and I'm going to go over those right now. I'm calling them buckets. Okay. So there's several buckets, and some cold opportunities. You mentioned one would be canceled and expired. So for those that are watching, when a home is on the market and they break up the relationship, or they say, hey, we're going to pause this fall and relist it next year, they're free agents, in my opinion, right? So
Right.
they have no signed agreement. They might have a change of heart and go with another agent. So that's what's called a cancel and expired. Number two would be for sale by owner.
Okay.
Number three would be if you currently have listings. By the way, listings are the name of the game. You need listings. Listings are the name of the game.
Okay. So
let me before I go into further on these cold opportunities, list to live. A sign in the yard is better than one in the car. I can't say that enough. Before even a NAR settlement, listings, the agents that focus on listings make more money. Bottom line is because you're leveraging your time, you're leveraging your assets. I get more sign calls, I get more internet leads when I have listings than if I don't. Okay, so you want to get more listings. So the third opportunity would be neighbors of your listings. The fourth would be hosting open houses. So again, I'm doing open houses this weekend. My team members are. So open houses are key. The fifth would be neighbors of those open houses. You can door knock them, let them know, hey, Mike here, I'm going to be hosting an open house on Saturday. The sixth would be buyers of those listings, of your listings, your previous listings. And then, of course, your farm. Those are people that don't know you, like you, and trust you. So those are some cold opportunities that agents can work on.
So when we talk about farming, we talk about some of these other things. Is it any different in a luxury market, in a luxury area, than it would be, let's say, in the average home market?
Yeah, I mean, it could be, right? So depending on what part of the country you're in, some farming is, some farming is not a neighborhood, right? So I'm in Chicago suburbs, and we don't have big gated communities out here, right? So we have a lot of tear downs. So we have a lot of what's called infill, where somebody wants to build a home in this great community, and there's a lot of older homes. They buy the land, they buy the house, knock it down, and build on it. So, so it depends. Every market's different.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. So the luxury market means a lot more to me than most, because I look at luxury as, a lifestyle, right? It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle you have to live by. Is it important for agents to be involved in that lifestyle, and, or, I hate to say this, but fake it, like belong to different clubs, go to different networking events? Is that helpful to do that when looking at luxury homes?
Absolutely. I mean, like, I literally just taught 2 weeks ago at my old high school.
Oh, wow.
6 years doing it. I taught 4 periods. It's a class called Incubator, and it's a class on entrepreneurship. And I teach a lesson on unique value propositions. John talked about the hook, the story, right? The hook, the story, the close, right? So that's basically what I taught, the hook, right? The unique value proposition, why somebody should hire you versus the competition. And I asked the classes, because somebody asked this question early on, is your network more important or your IQ, right? And I said network all day, and I asked the classes, and most got this. So your network is key. Your network equals your net worth. You hang out with 9 dead broke people, you're bound to be the 10th. You hang out with 9 overachievers that are doing well financially, you're bound to be the 10th. It's that simple.
So that goes along with the old saying that you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with, right?
Yes.
So one of the things that you mentioned an awful lot.
And one, hold that train of thought. I just got to get my water here, because I'm 1 second. Swap them out. All right. Sorry about that. I have to get this. So go ahead.
So where was I? The mindset of a luxury agent. So we're basically saying that when you determine what you want to do and how you want to do it, your mindset is key. So we're talking about emotional intelligence. We're talking about intelligence. We're talking about network, net worth, etc. The schedule for any type of agent is extremely important, and that has to do with mindset. Was there a mindset shift that you made when you decided to go into luxury and build the brand that you have built? And talk to me a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, so mindset is key, but organization and action is important as well. So you talked about organization. Behind me, you see something that we're about to release, and it's our luxury agent planner, the first of its kind, because, you come back from this trip, right? Your head's swimming. You got all this information. How are you going to prioritize? What am I going to implement? And your day-to-day task, You show me your schedule and what you do, there's a direct correlation to how much you get done and how successful you are. So that's why we put the planner together. It's needed, and there's nothing like it in the industry. So your mindset's key, but mindset isn't just, hey, I'm motivated. It's your knowledge is key, right? So mindset's one thing, but then your knowledge is the other, but then implementing is key, right? A lot of people that get DUIs, they have the knowledge that they shouldn't get behind the wheel, but they don't implement. They make poor decisions. So having the right mindset's great. Being positive, okay, I'm fired up. Having amazing knowledge is great, but then actually implementing it and being able to articulate to the consumer why they should do those things. I'm going on an appointment here in a few hours, a home that's on the market. It is dated. It's an older person. I know I'm going to have a very difficult time having them to get on board to paint and stage and neutralize. Right. But I have these case study books that I'm going to articulate to them of, hey, all these houses, these were on the market just like you before. But guess what? Now they're not. Okay, so having this is really important to be able to articulate, to get this seller on board to do the things that the other agent wasn't very good at explaining to them. So case study is key to all of this.
So when we talk about getting into luxury, you have the free luxury book. You have other books too, aside from the planner coming out. Talk to me about what you have and courses and stuff that you've developed that can help agents that are watching now or will watch later.
Yeah. So yeah, we have a course out there. It's a designation. It's called Luxury Specialist, or Lux for short. People can go to luxurylistingspecialist.com, luxurylistingspecialist.com to find out more about the designation. There are 0 previous luxury sales required to take that course. And that's just luxurylistingspecialist.com. I typed it in the comments section. And then the other is, by the way, this book I was showing you, this is geared for consumers. So I bring this on so the sellers I can show them case study after case study and be like, hey, do you want to be in this sold pile, or do you want to be in this pile of homes that didn't sell pile? And then the other is a great resource that just came out in May, hit bestseller in 6 categories. It's down the bottom on the scrolling, but it's just freeluxurybook.com. Freeluxurybook.com is another one. And that they can get the book absolutely free digitally, or they can get the book free and just pay for the shipping and handling. Instead of paying $30 plus shipping, they're just paying $9.97. So that's just freeluxurybook.com. And same thing, those are great resources. Of course, we have a podcast. We have 298 episodes out. It's called Luxury Listing Specialist. Okay, we have a podcast out, and yeah. So that's kind of some of the things. You can find me on social media, all the above.
So, Mike, if you wanted to get into luxury now, okay, what would be the first thing that you would say to agents right now to get into the business now, to get into luxury real estate now? What would you tell them the first thing? What would be their first 5 steps?
Number one, don't wait, right? So don't wait. The misconceptions about selling luxury real estate, Dave, are I got to be licensed X amount of years. I got to drive a certain car. I got to live in a certain community. I have to be with a certain luxury brand. Or I can't compete because there's already X amount of luxury agents in my market. There certainly isn't room for another. Those are the limiting beliefs, those excuses that people tell themselves. So that is the foremost. Like, they got to check those at the door. Okay. Right. Once they've checked those at the door, then the next thing would be that they have to literally continue to believe in themselves, right? They got to continue to believe in themselves that they can do it. I mean, that is key. But if you hang out with dead broke people, you're going to be a dead broke person. So my point is, they should join a chamber of commerce and network with other business owners that service those upper price points. Right. That's fantastic. Mike, is there anything else that you'd like to add to our broadcast today? We're coming up on time, and I want to respect yours and respect everybody else's. Is there anything you'd like to add to the broadcast where best practices? Success leaves clues, like Tony Robbins says. Don't reinvent the wheel. So if somebody else is doing something that you think, like, that's what we put so much free content. I'm giving people the playbook, the blueprint. They got to tweak it and make it their own. Some people need coaching, right? Like, I worked out at Orange Theory Fitness for 5 years. I know how to go on a treadmill and work out, but I needed some accountability, even though I knew what I was doing. So some people need that. That's why most people have coaches. I have a business coach myself, and so most people still need coaching, but you got to start here. You got to be hungry. You got to be hungry.
Right.
You got, your why has got to draw you out of bed when you don't want to get out of bed, right? You got to be hungry. That's a prerequisite to success. That's our logo is the lion, right? The lion. The lion's the leader. They're hungry. They go kill and bring back to their family every day. And that's a mentality. You got to be, you got to be a savage that way. And you could be a positive lion. You don't have to be a jerk, right?
Right.
Be a positive lion. Leadership, there's too many negative leaders. You can be a positive, unifying leader out there.
Wasn't it Brandon Brittingham that said, bring out the savage in you?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it was Brandon that said that.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I got two things left. One is a question. One is something else that I forgot to mention to you before, which might be a surprise to you, is number one, most important thing that I ask everybody at the end of every broadcast is, how can I, Dave Finale, help you, Mike LaFido, grow your business? How can I help you grow your business?
Well, just don't keep me a secret, right? So keep me in mind for Chicagoland referrals. But you're, in the Cheplack world, and if you hear of other real estate brokers that want to increase their average sale price, want to work smarter, not harder, want to have a dedicated luxury division, and want to make an impact in their local market, that's what we teach people, is how to become the number one trusted luxury real estate agent in their market.
Awesome, man. And you may have heard me and Alec Cheplack talk about this, about the hat, but I didn't mention this before, but everyone that comes on a broadcast gets one of my hats. And I'm going to send this out to you really quickly, really soon, as soon as I find my mailing stuff, since I moved. So I'm looking for all that. Hey,
I have some swag too. Now, I can't pull it up on the screen, but I'm going to put it in the feature. And if you guys like lines, you like some of the Lux gear I just dropped in, that's my Shopify store. You got hoodies, you got T-shirts. Literally, it's pretty it's pretty cool. We put a lot of time into it. And one of the shirts I have on there that I wear to the gym, Dave, and people come up to me, it's a conversational starter. And one of them says, "I'd rather be selling your house." And so people laugh at that. They see it, right?
I love that.
And another one just says, "Ask me about real estate." So we got a lot of luxury swag, some gears. They can buy our book on the website as well. And so I appreciate it. I'll wear the hat, and if you want some Lux swag, you know where to go.
Yep, I certainly will. Hey, man, thank you so much for coming on today. Stay on as we go out. We got another great broadcast coming up next week. It's going to be a surprise guest next week, but we've got another broadcast coming up next week, as we always have. It'll be 3:30 next week. Michael, thank you so much for coming on. Everybody have a great rest of your weekend and a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week. Nelson, hit the videotape.